Shalom, family. This is Yuda. Today's topic: the days of the week were numbered, not named, before the Roman Empire. This is going to be kind of interesting, and I feel the need to bring this up again, even though I've done numerous lessons on the Sabbath days, the names of the days of the week, and so on. So I decided to do this a little different. And no matter how I put this, there are still going to be scoffers and mockers who refuse to let go of their pagan attachments. So let's get started. The practice of numbering days within a week, rather than naming them after deities or celestial bodies. It existed before the Roman calendar. The Romans adopted the 7-day week and the Babylonian system of naming the days after the planets, but they also had their own deities associated with each day. The early Roman calendar. The early Roman calendar, however, was not based on a 7-day week, but rather on an 8-day cycle called the nondienal cycle. The 7-day week gradually replaced the nondienal system in Rome, and Emperor Constantine adopted it for official use in the year 321 CE, making the day of the sun, die solis, a legal holiday. So I took the liberty of putting a description of the Roman view of the calendar which they created. Sunday, die solis, day of the sun. Monday, dies lunae, moon day, luna. Tuesday, dies Martis, day of the god of war, Mars. Wednesday, dies Mercury, day of the messenger, god Mercury, Mercurius. Thursday, dies Lovis, day of the chief god Jupiter, or Lupitor. Friday, dies Veneris, day of the goddess of love, Venus. Saturday, last but not least, dies Saturni, father of Jupiter, Saturn's day, Saturnus. So now let's look at the Genesis creation. The creation story in Genesis describes the Creator creating the heavens and earth, followed by light sky and seas, land, plants, animals, and finally humans, all within 6 days, with the Creator resting on the seventh day. So this is how it was written in Genesis. I'll give you a detailed breakdown. Day 1, the Creator creates light and separates it from the darkness, calling light day and darkness night. Day 2, the Creator creates the sky, or firmament, to separate the waters above from the waters below. Day 3, the Creator gathers the waters into one place, allowing dry land to appear, and then creates vegetation. Day 4. Now, I want y'all to do something for me. When y'all hear the Creator name any of these days by anything other than numbers, I want you to put a number 1 in the comment section if you hear anything like Sundays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, so etc., etc. Put a 1 in the comment section. If you don't hear any names of days, put a 0. Day 4, the Creator creates the sun, moon, and stars to rule the day and the night. Day 5, the Creator creates birds and sea creatures. Day 6, the Creator land animals and then creates humans, male and female, in his own image. Last but not least, day 7, the Creator rests from all his work of creation. So we have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and day 7. Now, I'm going to tell you what I see and what I know to be a fact. Our Creator is the most perfect of all creation, above all creation. If he intended for any one of these 7 days to be named, don't you think that he would have said so? Don't you think that there must be a reason why he didn't name these days, at least not according to the Romans or the Greeks? Seems to me that that would just be pure common sense. If the Creator didn't say it, then neither should you. He's not incompetent, he's not senile, and he knows exactly what he does and why he does it. We're the ones that are struggling to understand his ways and his laws. So why don't we keep things in perspective? If he gives us numbers, then numbers we should use. We're going to find out the reason for that. In the Hebrew text of Genesis, the days of creation are numbered, not named, with the exception of the 7th day, which is the Sabbath. And the names we use for the days of the week are of Roman origin, not biblical. If it's not biblical, should you use it? I mean, are we not supposed to follow the written word of our Creator? That's how we stay biblical. Once we start using pagan names and suggestions and whatever, we step out of the biblical text into the pagan text. How many of you can see something wrong with stepping outside of biblical text? That should go without saying. If it's biblical, we should keep it biblical. We should not add anything to it or take anything away from it. He made it clear. This is how he wanted it. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 5, 6, and 7. How do we know that's how he wanted it? That's how he gave it to us. When did he give any authority to anybody on this planet to do it otherwise? Nobody can find that in Scripture because it does not exist. People, we need to realize something. We have an enemy or enemies, and their main objective is to keep us lost, confused, and discombobulated. Did I say that right? That's their agenda. So this is how they do it. Where the Creator gave us numbers of the days, the pagans gave us names. Now in the Hebrew text of Genesis, the days of creation are numbered. They're not named. The only exception to that is the Sabbath day. This was not a coincidence. This was intentional. Anything outside of that is not biblical. So here's a little bit of detailed explanation. Numbered, not named. The Hebrew text of Genesis 1 uses numbers. First day, second day, etc., etc., to refer to the days of creation rather than giving them specific names. We know he does not make mistakes. So this was significant. Numbering the days instead of giving names to the days was specific and significant. Even if you don't understand the why, all you need to understand is the fact and the matter of they were numbered. And if he wanted it any other way, wouldn't he have done that? Sabbath as an exception. The only day named in the Bible is the Sabbath, which the Creator blessed and set aside as a holy day for us. Roman origins of day names. The names we use for the days of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc., are of Roman origin, not biblical. So, to focus on creation's order, the numbering of the days along with the pattern of creation highlights the orderly nature of the Creator's creation, as opposed to the chaotic views held by the Israelites' neighbors. We know who they are. Now, the theological significance of all this, the 7-day pattern is a literary device that serves the theological purposes of the author, rather than revealing information about the chronology of natural history. There were two reasons to establish the Gregorian calendar. First, the Julian calendar assumed incorrectly that the average solar year is exactly 365.25 days long, an overestimate of a little under 1 day per century, as thus has a leap year every 4 years without exception. The Gregorian reform shortened the average calendar year by 0.0075 days to stop the drift of the calendar with respect to the equinoxes. To stop the drift. Do you know what they mean by that? Listen, this is how the creation calendar works. It's not fixed. That's the reason why from 1 month to the next, if you line up the creation calendar alongside of the Gregorian calendar, you will notice a pattern. The creation calendar, when it reaches the end of a cycle, it restarts, which makes it appear alongside the Gregorian calendar as if it lands on a different day. Now, that is the confusion of the Gregorian calendar. So that's what it means when it says they try to stop the drift of the calendar with respect to the equinoxes. They were trying to establish a belief system into our belief system that the creation calendar should be fixed just like the Gregorian. And that's not the case. The creation calendar is based on movement of the sun, moon, and the stars. It is not fixed. It is based in and on nature. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. It is built around and based on movement and nature. Nature changes through the seasons. You have winter, summer, fall, spring, autumn, and you know what I'm getting at. These cycles, they end and restart. The creation calendar creates the matter of being regenerated. Think about that, because when the new moon comes every month, it regenerates and makes a new month. It makes a whole new month. Now, if you follow the Gregorian calendar, these days will jump all over the calendar. But according to Gregorian, theirs is fixed. It's not based on nature. It's not based on the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. They have fixed it to match up with the names that they have given the days of the week that came from their gods. So if you go by the Gregorian calendar, their Friday from sundown to Saturday sundown, according to them, is going to always be on that same day. But on the calendar, it will move across the board and then back. But on each movement that it creates, it will always land on Friday. I don't know if y'all getting this, but if you have to listen to this video over and over and over, I think you should do just that, because you need to understand the difference between the true creation calendar and how it works and the man-made Gregorian calendar. So the Gregorian reform shortened the average calendar year by 0.0075 days to stop the drift of the calendar with respect of the equinoxes. Second, in the years since the first Council of Nicaea in the year AD 325, the excess leap days introduced by the Julian algorithm had caused the calendar to drift such that the March equinox was occurring well before its nominal 21st March date. Do you see that? This date was important to the Christian churches because it's fundamental to the calculation of the date of Easter. Pay attention, y'all. We're going to school today. Because it is fundamental to the calculation of the date of Easter. Do we celebrate Easter? So can you see why they did that? Because they do. And they want you to celebrate Easter too, because they know that it will draw you into sin. To reinstate the association, the Reform advanced the date by 10 days. Thursday, 4th October, 1582, was followed by Friday, 15th October, 1582. In addition, the Reform also altered the lunar cycle. Do y'all see a breach of laws here? Do y'all see how they broke the Creator's laws? Let me read that again. The Reform also altered the lunar cycle used by the church to calculate the date for Easter. Because astronomical new moons were occurring 4 days before the calculated date. Why? Because they were wrong. Whilst the Reform introduced minor changes, the calendar continued to be fundamentally based on the same geocentric theory as its predecessor. Roman gods become Nordic weekday names. Check this out, y'all. The Romans named the days of the week after the sun and the moon and the 5 planets. Where in Scripture was anybody given that authority? Because in Genesis, all of that was established. And here they come later, they're going to redo it. That should tell you right there that Friday sundown, Saturday sundown is not the 7th day. That should tell you right there that the Sabbath does not start in the evening. It starts in the day, at dawn. The Romans named the days of the week after the sun and the moon and the 5 planets, which were also the names of their gods. The gods and planets were Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Saturday did not even exist in the book of Genesis. While Genesis mentioned the Creator resting on the 7th day after creation, it does not use the word Saturday, because that name for the day is derived from Roman deity Saturn, not from the biblical text itself. So if it's not biblical, it's not biblically legal. Saturday as a later name. The name Saturday comes from the Roman deity Saturn, not from the biblical text itself. The King James Version of the Bible, specifically in Exodus chapter 20, verse 3, states, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." This commandment emphasizes the exclusivity of the Creator's worship and prohibits the veneration of any other deities. Before I go further, I want you to look at the word veneration. In a biblical context, veneration refers to the act of showing deep respect, reverence, and honor, often to individuals or objects that holds religious significance, but it's distinct from the worship reserved for our Creator alone. So that means when they say that the exclusivity of the Creator's worship and prohibits the veneration of any other deities, you have no business hanging on to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Why? Because he did not call those names. And those are the names of the Roman gods. And he just told you in Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And here's the context. This is the first of the Ten Commandments, highlighting the importance of worshiping only the one true Creator. The meaning, it forbids any form of idolatry, or giving allegiance. Are y'all getting this? Because when y'all call and defend these days that the Romans gave you, you are pledging your allegiance to the Roman gods. Not only that, when you keep any other day as a Sabbath day outside of the creation calendar, you are again pledging your allegiance to the Roman gods. It forbids any form of idolatry or giving allegiance to any other god, whether in thought, word, or deed. Y'all, this is crucial. Now, what's the significance? This commandment underscores the concept of monotheism, the belief in one creator and the absolute authority of the creator in the lives of true believers. I don't have to tell y'all what that means. Whether y'all realize it or not, and I'm not speaking to my general subscribers, I'm speaking to all those Christians that come onto my channel and throw their scoffing and mocking at me because their ignorance is shining. But you know what? I just hide them from the channel, block them, and delete the comment because that's their problem. That's not my problem. And I'm not going to let them make that my problem. Not anymore. So what does the word veneration refers to? Again, it means one that shows deep respect or deep reverence and honor or religious significance to any other God outside of the one true Creator. So my point of this lesson is there is no way that anybody can keep the Sabbath day in its correct perspective without fully understanding the creation calendar. Just because you believe something, that don't make it right. Just because you think something, that don't make it right. And whenever you bring a comment that challenges what I have shown you based on Scripture, you should always provide something in the form of Scripture to back it up. And ever since I've been doing these lessons, I have had these challenges, but I have not had one back it up with Scripture. There is no names of the weeks, people. They were numbered. Before the Roman Empire, they called the days by numbers. And that's the way you should do it. I spoke my piece. Shalom.